Okay, now I think we will start because it's quite late. Please don't be shy. Come close to us. Don't stay at the back. Come close to us. Okay, you can. Well, okay, very good. So let's go. Techniques are okay. Everything is okay. Okay. So hello to all of you. I'm Dr. Pauli, the Executive Secretary of the 4 per Mille Initiative, an international multi-stakeholder partnership launched at COP21 in Paris some 9 years ago to promote soil carbon sequestration to fight climate change and food insecurity. Welcome to our 1.5-hour side event on the Food and Agriculture Pavilion. That is, I would like to warmly thanks for allowing us, the 4 per Mille Initiative, the aridity, the CGIAR, and to organize this event today. One of our side event is provide small farmers adequate tools and approaches to monitor soil health at the farm level for accelerate the resilience to aridification. Measuring and validating the health of farmland and soil is not an easy process for all stakeholders, from farm to fork, and technically and financially supporting farmers in the agroecological transition is not easier, although just as essential. Soil health is one of the major issues of our century, and generating yes, okay, thank you. And regenerating our soil to enable them to be the crops of the future for the benefits of the generation that will follow us is certainly the greatest challenge facing mankind. Let's make no mistake about it. It is thanks to a regenerated, healthy soil, rich in organic carbon, and therefore in organic matter. Sorry, yes, it's better to see the screen. And therefore carbon, that we will be able to combat land desertification, climate change, biodiversity erosion, and above all, food insecurity. Those who know me know that I often repeat this word, but it seems that this is not yet enough, since unfortunately, little is being done in this direction. Because more than a third of the Earth's surface is degraded, affecting 3.2 billion people worldwide. Although small-scale farmers play an essential role in maintaining healthy soil, they often lack access to the necessary knowledge and resources. Policymakers, scientists, and business alike play a key role in this area. In short, we know what our objective is, but we need to adapt farming practices to reach agroclimatic consideration to increase soil organic carbon, and to assess the appropriateness for this adaptation. We need to measure and evaluate the relevance of these practices. Furthermore, once we have identified good practices in given context, we need to be able to scale them up through adoption by farmers. How can we accompany this agroecological transition? Firstly, by persuading farmers of the need for change, and secondly, by closely monitoring the result obtained. In an environment conducive to this change of scale, political decision makers must have access to reliable data to determine their policy orientation. Farmers must have access to affordable and reliable information to confirm and modify their technical choice in the field. Investors and companies must account for their impact, value chain, and own processes in terms of emission and storage, not to mention the of carbon credit. And finally, civil society, including consumer, must receive reliable and regular information to guide their lifestyle choice. All stakeholders have an interest in ensuring that MRV tools are reliable and affordable, and that regulatory, technical, and financial support is as appropriate as possible. To discuss this important issue, and also to give some information and clue about how the tools are available today. Let me introduce the panelists who will be taking part of this roundtable. They are an interesting mix of technology, no. So I was just telling that there are a mixture of experience in the field and scientists. So I will call on Jean-Luc Schott from IRD, and I will not make a long presentation, but take the time to present yourself when you will first take the floor, because you're better placed than me to make this presentation. We will have online Maëlys Paquette from the World Sustainability. We have Jean-Daniel Cesaro from CGIAR with us, and Pravina Sridhar from Conscience Planet, Safe Soil, Isha Foundation. Well, I don't know which title I have to use for you, Pravina. So we'll explore. So I think no, it's okay. So that's all. So this segment will explore how we can help farmers adopt and implement best practices for soil and land health to accelerate their resilience and to aridification. So let's start by Mr. Jean-Luc Schott. Jean-Luc, you have a mic somewhere there? No? No, here. Jean-Luc, could you explain to us what we are talking about when we are talking about soil health? This is a word very often used, or an expression, but in reality, very few people know what it means. So how science defines soil health?
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for having inviting me to be part of this very nice panel and addressing the key issue about how we can equip farmers to help them to see what is going on in terms of soil health. And I fully agree that if we want soil health to be, I would say, the main vehicle for looking at productivity and multifunctionality of soil, we need to agree on what we are talking about when we are talking about soil health. So you can see on the slide. So my first key message is we don't have to use health as a synonym to soil quality. That's the first point. You can see on the slide that soil quality could be described through biological property, physical property, and chemical properties. For example, you have a soil A with higher quality and soil B, higher quality than a soil B, but because of misuse of soil, so soil performance of soil A could be lower than the performance of soil B because of misuse of unsustainable land use practices on soil A, having an impact of the soil is not in good health, not well functioning, less productivity compared to the quality of the soil. Which is why when we are looking at addressing soil health, it's a dynamic process from taking into account quality, processes, and soil function. And at the end of the process, as I would say, sharper definition or approaches, it's a soil health. It's a capacity of soil to function as a vital living systems within ecosystem and non-uses boundaries to sustain plant and animal productivity, maintain or enhance water and air quality, and promote plant health and animal health. If we agree on that definition, of course, we need to be able to monitor the soil, but that's the other part of the side event. So these are my first words. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, John. So now we know a little bit more about what is soil health. Okay. So I would like, now what we're talking about, I would like to refer to Mary's. Mary's packet, she's online. Hello?
Yes, I am here.
Can you hear us, Mary's?
Yes.
I see you moving your lips, but I cannot hear you.
Normally the sound was working just before, but I don't know if you can hear me. Let me know if I need to speak again.
Yes.
It's okay?
Yes.
Okay.
You can share your screen.
Yeah, I can share my screen.
Want you to be with us from Paris.
Does it work?
It's okay, we can see your screen, okay?
Okay.
Can you remove that, technician, please? Can you remove this part? Okay, we can start, Maurice.
Yes. So the idea is just to say a few words. So to make the link between scientists and researchers on soil health, we made a study with For Premier Initiative that took a few months. The idea was really to understand what are the tools today that enable to monitor, report, and verify what is around soil health. So here you can see on the screen the different steps that we followed. The first step was really to understand what we called MRV, so monitoring, reporting, and verification system and tools to understand the definition. And I think that we will talk about this a little bit later. And then we did a state of the art of the existing tools and we tried to classify them. Why did we do this study? It's because today soil health is becoming each time more critical to some organizations, but also to private organizations that need to help farmers enhance their soil health so that they can also reduce greenhouse gas emissions and even store some carbon. But the monitoring systems that are available to do that are a lot of there are too much on the market. So the idea was really to identify what could be the criteria of decision to choose one or another system and what would be the key question to ask to each client, to each context before choosing one of these tools. And I don't know if it's completely answering the question, Paul, let me know.
Yeah, we can continue to your presentation.
Yeah, okay. So what we did just after that, so first we tried to add a definition of MRV, as I said. So we used the definition that was given by Orcasa, which is a project led among others by different researchers. So you can see here the different bricks that enter, and really we are not talking here about a tool, but more about the system, because monitoring, reporting, and verification cannot be all at the same time in the same tool. So we look at the different bricks. And then we selected a set of criteria saying, well, if we look at monitoring, reporting, or verification, what should be the key questions a stakeholder should ask himself before choosing one or another solution. So here you can see the different set of criteria that we selected and that seemed to us as Deloitte the most important one. So regarding monitoring, really the important thing is to look at the inputs, what are the data required by the tool and what is the level of quality. Is it direct measurement? Is it satellite measurement? So it's really one of the key questions that someone should ask himself. And then it's also important to look at how the data is processed. So what is the precision of the data output by the tool, how the model, for example, that I use are calibrated to each context, how the calculations are made, and are there, for example, relevant for different requirements such as the IPCC tier requirements. And then regarding reporting, different questions, and this is really context dependent of each actor. So again, what we did here is really deciphering what a tool can do, what tools can offer, but knowing which tool is the best one will be dependent on the needs of the different actors. And so, for example, reporting, you should ask yourself what kind of indicators you need at the end. What is your objective? Is it to create an action plan, or is it to monitor soil health? It really depends on each one. And at the end, do you need a verification? For example, if you're an actor that want to create some projects in order to then sell some carbon offsets on the market, maybe the verification part will be very important. On the other hand, if you're a farmer that just need to know what is its hot soil health to be able to monitor it in the time, then maybe the verification part is less important. And last but not least, we also looked at different questions around business models. So what is the cost also of the tool? What is also the interoperability of the tool with other databases so that the inputs, for example, are less important to enter. But here was only a few idea of what we studied. We also took into account a lot of other criteria that you can see here on my screen and that are available on a tool, an Excel tool that we designed and that you can download on the 4per initiative website so that you can play with the different criteria and look at the different tools that could answer these criteria based on our study. I will not do the demo today, so I just invite you to go to the tool, download it, and play with it. So you have a lot of criteria, and see also if you see some tools missing, please feel free to reach out to us so that we can add them to this benchmark. Up. And as I said, so we really want to keep this benchmark up to date. So these are different processes that we made for the governments. The idea is that if there is any new MRV tool that editors can reach out to us, and so that we can add them to the criteria grid. Also for already referenced MRV tool, if there are any changes, we can also take them into account. And at the end, if some tools want to be removed from the inventory, it's possible. And so I would like to thank the 4per initiative to have to make this this study possible. It was really interesting to work on that, and we look for new tools to be added to this benchmark so that we keep it going on.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Okay, this is just a quick view of the tools that is developed for us. And this study is not exhaustive, of course. And if you that are not in inventory, contact us or contact the tools provider, and we will work with them to be included there. It's a tool, it's a decision-making tools for the user, for all kind of user, as Maurice explained to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can free you if you have some other
Yeah. Thank you.
It's me that I don't know how to hold a mic. I have to put it here. All right. Here. Ah, okay. Thank you. Technology and me, it's too hard. Okay. So, after the definition of soil health, after a quick overview of the tools that we have to measure not only soil health, carbon sequestration, agroecology, and others. So, let's think about a challenge, and we will ask Jean-Daniel César from CGIAR to give us your thought about the challenge and the opportunities of integrating local knowledge in the MRV process. We know that most of the time this process is controlled by science, but how can we take profit of the knowledge of the farmers? Jean-Daniel, you have the floor.
Thank you for giving me the floor. So, okay. No. Ah, ça ne marche pas. Oh, presentation. So, I am not a soil health specialist, and I'm working as geographer in participatory approaches. And when was talking about this side event, I was like thinking, okay, how can we link methodology, international, international methodology with the need of the small farmers, and especially within a link to their needs and the technology that is provided. So this is the different challenging. So we saw the MRV tools in the last presentation, and local knowledge and participation is facing a huge challenge because from point of view of the global source, we have limited resources, technical capacities, and access to tools. A lot of vulnerabilities to climate impacts such as aridification and desertification. We see knowledge of these and as resource, deep understanding of local conditions, adaptive practices. Me, I'm working in pastoralist area, and all the pastors telling me, like, when you see these plants, we know that the land is going to be degraded. So they have their own knowledge that we need to implement in this kind of technologies, but which is very difficult in terms of digital way. So there is a diversity of taking part, the participation of local stakeholders in soil health researchers, going from traditional approach with low level of participation to citizen science, a co-creation with science as society, to make an influence, like society decide on what science have to look at, and to do and analyze also with society, with science, the data. So there is this big program from FAO about soil doctors program with soil champions in global south. Is really interesting because it's the challenge is to have in every communes, in every village, some specialists in extension services, but not just extension services, also to train farmers to be in manage of the soil analysis. It's a really interesting program. We see now in our research program one new emerging concept of linkage between science and society with living labs. We are implementing areas in Africa, but also in Asia. This kind of approach where you have, for example, in Cambodia on the CGIAR initiative agroecology, the training of some soil champions. And in Senegal, we have also a project called Territory Health, where we aim to work between soil specialists, agronomists, pastoralists, etc., to link all the beneficiaries. And the last point, I think, from the perspective of digital implementation of MRV technologies, is a digital divide. We are used to work in a very complex digital area, but still farmers have difficulties to access to the technologies and the tools, and have limited access also to just access the network. So thinking of how we can provide tools for farmers in global source need to link with this question.
But this is a conclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean-Marie. So give me back the ticker. I needed it. So that's very interesting. It means that science have not the monopoly of helping us to define another tools, but we can use the very some areas of additional knowledge. So I put my hand over here again. And it was very interesting, the two last one that you show about using a tea bag as a well, a way to control soil health, and the other one is where the underwear, underclothes to be able to measure also the life in the soil. This is a very nice one, this one. Right. So from science point of view, scientific point of view, maybe we come to you, Pravina. Pravina, you are from the Save Soil movement. I would say you are our link to the reality, to the field, the ground. So can you give us some concrete example how all this work is implemented by farmer, and whether the way the farmer are using those kind of tools that could help us monitor what's going on in the field?
Thank you, Paul. It's very interesting to see the presentations, the technical presentations. One thing that you presented was how the people who are trained from K to 12, on looking at soil, understanding soil, and then they are collaborating with experts, and they're being taught to write professional emails. Is such an important link about science to farmers, right? I just picked it up from the slide you showed. So, how do we make farmers measure soil, right? That's the topic is adequate tools and approaches. So, what we measure in the laboratory through our MRV systems, through the physical, chemical, biological, under the microscope, in chemical testing, all of those things, is the way we understand soil. The way we understand soil is NPK plus Zn, Mg, blah, blah, blah. Soil biology, bacteria, fungi, blah, blah, blah. That's what we understand soil is. What is soil for a farmer? Soil for a farmer is livelihood. Soil for a farmer is the basis, the foundation, the backbone of his livelihood. So, do we need farmers to actually understand this? I'm not sure. What they understand is better yields, resilience. If I had a drought here, I'm still able to get the produce or not. So the science has to translate into things that mean value to him. That's his livelihood. So, having said that, but it would be good if he had an idea of how to make the foundation work for his livelihood. So there is some amount of knowledge that we can see things the way it has to be and improve his livelihood. To take an example, we had a groundnut farmer in one of the semi-arid regions of west of India, where we work with farmers. The leaves started yellowing, and it started, he started to realize that his crop was going to fail this year. If he had gone to a fertilizer shop, the fertilizer vendor would give him things that are not moving off the shelf and get it off the shelf, rather than giving him the right solution that will work for him. Instead, we as a movement, being the gap fillers or the dot connectors, what we did was have our agronomist talk to the farmer and say that all we had to spend was very little money in procuring ferrous sulfide and adding in the right dosage, not excess, not too little, to ensure that the crop is not lost. This knowledge that ferrous sulfide was missing is a gap that a farmer will appreciate. Like his yield, his crop doesn't fail. Therefore, we bring knowledge and science to farmers where it matters, how it matters. And based on this experience, we have seen a whole lot of farmers come to our agronomists and soil laboratory to get their soils tested, because now they trust us. They trust that science can deliver solutions for their livelihood. And we have a laboratory that does physical, chemical, and also biological test of the soil. And then we share with farmers, if you are growing ground, or if you're growing a certain millet, or a grain, or a particular oil seed, what is the nutritional requirement? And what is it mean for you to have these requirements fulfilled by inputs, biological, chemical combination in the journey towards regenerative agriculture practices. And we are seeing this work. And the carbon sequestration that happens, all of those things are complementary outcomes or a byproduct of ensuring good soil health happens. NRE is to monitor how your health is improving, how much carbon is being sequestered so that we can leverage the climate finance space, the carbon finance space. But for the farmer, these things are subsidiary income. Income from crop is primary. So if you help them realize the value of data information with respect to their primary profession, they want to look at science and engage with science. It's about engagement with science and making science relevant to them that actually has made it science being used by farmers. That's all.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting. So, in short, you say that we don't need much science to go to the farmer's field, just a minimum to know and to advise them. But well, we have scientists on board, so we need to be kind with them. So is there any, up to now, is there any question or any reaction in the audience that all those presentations bring to your mind? No? Okay, don't be shy. I mean, if you want to take the floor, take the floor. We have to have an exchange. We are not in a classroom. You have a mic over here. Present yourself if you may. Should be okay.
Okay, I am Omar Malamisa. I'm from IRD. I have just one question for you because I have just the picture of how the farmer can translate, for example, soil health and soil quality. Because you tell us for farmer, what's important is the production, is what is the yield. But how they can translate some, I can say, things like soil health or soil quality. Is this a reality for them or not? Do you have any experience?
Yeah. I'm going to come in front so that people online can see. All of us can come here. Thank you. So, farmers are far more aware than you and me how soil is depleting. They're observing year on year, over 5 years, 10 years, what's happening to the land, and they live with the land more than us. So they don't have laboratory reports to say what's happening to soil. But they do not have the risk. They don't have a risk appetite for them to engage in a very extreme scientific manner, robustly scientific manner to ensure soil health is back. Robust engagement is not possible because we do not have financial bandwidth or resource bandwidth to engage with it in a structured manner. We really go in the laboratories like step 1, step 2, step 3. It's like doctors operating in living beings. Farmers are doctors operating in living beings, whereas scientists are people working in automated workshops operating in cars that are not moving. These are two different things. Right? So I'm not, I'm an environmental engineer, I'm from science background, people understand all that we do as scientists is extremely important. But that's the reality we are operating with. Therefore, for us to understand, as long as you can provide a solution with respect to soil health, transforming soil health, improving soil health, in tandem with the crops improving, while the crop is not depleting, they are ready to listen to you. And their trust needs to be earned. We only trust people whose skin is in the game. Whose skin is in the game with respect to farming and the farmer. They don't listen to experts whose salaries are paid by institutions or governments. Because their skin is not in the game. For them, the skin is, therefore, we work with pioneering farmers who understand the importance of being scientific, being robust with soil health building as our heroes who facilitate other farmers adopting scientific methods, sustainable methods. And these pioneer farmers have the bandwidth to engage with science, scientists, and scientific approaches. Therefore, we prove, like proof of the pudding is then and the farmers enable those farmers. We bring science to the farmers,
Thank you, Praveen. I think one part of the question was also provided by Jean-Denis about, can you give us a little bit more detail about this question of lighthouse living labs? Well, what is the new relation between science and farmers and traditional knowledge?
So the main idea of living labs is coming from the like urban science. Like they want to develop like peaceful areas. So it was a link of making all stakeholders of one issue together to find some solutions. Because in science, sometimes we come from a top-down approach, and now we are promoting the way of doing research, not just participatory, but to make, for example, in Senegal, we build some alliance on the ground, on villages to make forums where all the stakeholders can have the right to speak and decide. And it's not just policy, it's not just scientists, it's not just states, it's all the farmers, women, youth, men who have different activities that they can have the voice, all is recorded, the decisions are made, and then we have a loop of experimentation based on the declaration of the people. So it's like a small COP from a village COP. It's the same way. It's like we are talking all together to bring new ideas, and because we are exchanging, we are defining new issues, and we try to understand this type of new issues. And the best part is that the farmers are going from one point to another with us, understanding the analysis and all the data that science are collecting, and even they are collecting the data, they are analyzing the data, and after they are pushing the policy and the result of the experimentation.
Thank you. You want to react, Jean-Luc?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. No. Let the hand free.
Hello.
Thank you, Paul. I would like to react to your comment. I fully agree with you. There is no need every day on everyday basis to have farmers engaging with science. That's the first point. And I also agree with you. There is a need of trust. Of trust. Farmer or science, the scientists should elaborate with farmers trust, and farmers need to understand that scientists might help them in order to produce more, improve livelihood. I fully that's my comment. I would say mandate for our scientists is to be able to analyze what is going on the ground, echoing the need of farmers, and if the need are not fulfilled, trying to explain with the scientific knowledge why and what might be done or should be done or must be done to improve and to try to reach the farmers' needs. That's my point. Thank you. We have a question or a comment?
Really, I thank you very much. I'm very happy to be with you. I have been invited from a great woman to come to join you after she explained to me about the soil health. I am a Saudi citizen, and I am also academic. I am a university professor, and I used to be also Saudi Arabia Parliament member. And now I am a farmer, and really our soil needs to be helped, So I would like, if there is a possibility to let us to work together as a partner and to let you to apply your tools, farm and so on and somehow. Also, at the same time, I am looking for a farm manager. If you know someone in France or in India, in country, please welcome. Either farm manager or farm like to do investment or farm engineer also. So really, as I saw, as I evaluate our soil, you know, our farm is 300 kilometers north from here in Kassim. Kassim, they call it the basket of Arabian Peninsula. It's the origin of all the agriculture you see now in Saudi Arabia. And it's like, you know, an important valley crossing Arabia from west to east, you know, from Red Sea to the Gulf and midstream there. So our farm is located there. And it's very unique soil, Genesis, I think, and needs to be helped and need to be protected. As you know, some needs, but maybe they need different, fertilizer, you know, to say really, I am very a natural person and I like organic also. And I'm very, you know, as a farmer to manage our farm, to manage our soil. So we need your advice and we need to work together. And I think our God send you to us either in this conference or we are doing this room. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your knowledge.
Soil is a base, you know, it's a base. It's a good water.
It's life.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Thank you. We understood when we arrived in Saudi Arabia that, well, here, life is scarce because when you go in real world, when you need to see the plants, and there are not so many plants, you need to go closer to find them, but your soil need to be enriched and soils can be also.
It is. You really, I do like only, I am problem, soil-free methodology approach person. So I'd like to invite you also. I can host 10, 15 days, 1 day, 2 days, and you're welcome to see, you know, by yourself. And also I like to come with results, not only theoretical presentation. Yes, I like to come with really practical results.
That's what we are for.
Yes, I'm waiting for results. Yeah, and see the result after 5 10 years from now. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So I will continue to ask some questions to the panel. Thank you. Jean-Luc, I have a question for you about those MRV tools we are talking about. We are just, it's not an opposition, it's just a complement between traditional knowledge and scientific approach. But on I would say a more scientific consideration, do you consider that the MRV tools need to be based only on what we call hard science? That means chemistry, physics, or do we need also soft science, a little bit like a socioeconomic approach? So we have a little bit of an idea of the answer, but please, what is your opinion on it?
Yes, it's a key question, and the answer. Of course, we need to be able to document any knowledge, helping every one of us to understand what is going on the field. And that's the first one. That means that to reply very directly to the question, of course, I would biochemical, biological, chemical, and physical indicators or data are needed, but it's not enough. You know, if we rely on my first slide, quality, it's not a synonym to soil health. So that means that we need soil health means that we need to understand what are the function working on the ground in the specific context. And what we need also is to be able to integrate other dimension in terms of socioeconomic aspects. So that's only biophysical indicators are not enough. But to be able to integrate all these type of indicators, soft knowledge and hard knowledge, is not an easy task. It's a science field. It's not only, yes, it's really a science field. So we try to do that in a JEF project, vacuum with people who collect from Cali, and it took us quite a long time to be able to understand which type of data I needed, and without ending at the end of the day with very too many indicators which are not able to manage. Okay, that's my contribution to the conversation.
Thank you. Somebody want to react? No, Pravina?
I agree with you. Like socio-economic indicators for what's happening to soil health, those I would say are outcomes of soil health change. They're not indicators of what is happening to soil directly. They're indirect indicators. My only suggestion, like we had this conversation with Baku also, while hard indicators of the physical, chemical, and biological parameters is important, one indicator, that is science-based indicator, which can really showcase what's happening to soils will be what's happening to soil biology, the bacteria fungi ratio, because suddenly a lot more of your nutrients start becoming available. Like one of the very well soil scientists, Ellen, suggested that for an entire crop of a hectare of land, a grain of phosphorus is enough if it were in available form. Otherwise, you need kilos of it, right? So the availability matters, not the quantum that matters. The biology makes things available in the soil. So measuring biology is very important, and it's actually measurable. It's quantifiable, unlike socio-economic parameters, which are subjective in nature, and they are not really quantifiable like numbers. So 1 point. While that's true, to make farmers realize benefits from things like carbon finance market, these the MRV systems require way too much of rigorous data collection. While that will be good for us to keep a track of where the carbon is going, for a farmer to realize benefits of his action, which are beneficial to the world, which are common good to the world in terms of reduction of temperature, all of his benefit from it, he should be remunerated for the act of taking care of soil, the processes that he adopts. And these processes will not be up in the air. They can be simple practices like easy doing cover cropping, easy rotating his crops, are there trees on his farm, how much of land is covered throughout the year, right? What is he practicing no-till or is he practicing till farming? So while we have arrived at very clear MRE mechanisms for carbon, for other parameters, it will be good for us to come up with methodologies to award farmers for adopting good practices, which is like it's an intermediate position. Like the minute he starts adopting processes, eventually the quantifiable outputs are going to be realized, but not immediately. Soil responds slowly. It takes 3 to 5 years before you're able to see quantifiable outcomes. Although they will be measurable in a laboratory sense, but in terms of him realizing money from various sources of benefits, carbon markets and others, the quantum is only over a period of time. But the actual expenditure is done by farmers in the first 5 years, adopting new practices, buying new equipment, buying extra seeds and additives. So I think soil biology should be one of the strong indicators. I'm summarizing what I just said. Soil biology should be very strong indicators. Secondly, while quantification can happen periodically by scientific entities, either going picking up ground truthing samples or GIS improvements, but farmer compensations need not be tied to what is realized by the soil, but actually what is adopted by the farmer, realize the outcome over a period of time. That's my response.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I continue a bit and I will give you the floor. Definitely. Jean-Daniel, according to you, how does science take into account the expectation and constraint of the end user? I mean, the farmers, the decision maker, the company. How do you feel that in the context of MRV? And based on your experience, how can they integrate this?
So I think from what I know from MRV tools, you have three mainly possible developments. From farmer, we already talk about it. You have from territories, like level of local communities, like decision making, like to follow. You was talking about mapping, like to have a right assessment for the land management planning, which is more, it's not just an addition of farmers. It's a combination of communities, a trade-off on resources. And so the MRV can provide a useful tool for this collective action at territorial scale. And after all, I think at national level, it's for this survey and implementation for this like COP and everything. So I think it's the main three level of implementations.
Any reaction? No, it's okay. Okay. So Jean-Luc, coming back to you, on all those tools of this question of soil health, how do you see the relation and the role of the private sector and science, for instance, in a relation with the farmers? How can you see this interaction? Do you think it works, or what are the main barriers for that to work?
Thank you for that question. And yes, for me, it should be improved, and in order to have the same view about what is soil health about, sorry, and what everyone, each stakeholder are expecting from soil, and maybe each stakeholder does not have the same expectation in the matter to monitor soil health and to look at indicators. And maybe that's the first point. That means we need to sit around the same table and to see what are your expectations. How can we document this expectation using indicators that are commonly agreed among all indicators, all the stakeholders. That means in order to build trust. Building trust is very important. We need to collaborate with private sector. Private sector has a role in the collaboration, and in order to do that, we need to agree on which indicators and metrics that are going to be used in order to document soil health, and in order to document where we want to go, providing this sustainable practices to make soil functioning for livelihood of farmers, but also for all private sectors be engaged in providing livelihood, revenues, and so on, keeping soil in a good health. That's the main point. Need to be strengthened, we need to be trust, and we need to share the common indicators and metrics to document. We need to discuss on that.
Thank you. Now I would like to get your point of view of three of you on the importance for all those tools, and of course for the well-being of the farmers and the farm and soil health, of the role of the policymaker in that game. We're talking about scientists, we're talking about a little bit of business, we're talking about NGOs, farmers. Well, how do you imagine, or what would be the request to the policymaker if we want to help the farmers having access to the right information and the right advice to avoid the land to be desertified or to aridify?
Do you want to respond first?
Or you will answer all of you. So
Okay. The role of policymakers. The role of policymakers, what I see is there are a number of things. There are things that the private players can do, like you were talking, right? Paul, you were also mentioning at Baku about how there are IoT technologies that exist. The sensors, you just drop them on the field, and then they give you data based on what's happening to soil health, R on R or whatever frequency of time, right? The parameters that we measure. Private sector's job is to innovate and find solutions for problems. They find businesses or opportunities and problems and solve them for us. And over a period of time, these solutions become affordable. That's the journey we are seeing for our computers, phones, and everything. The same can happen to agriculture solutions also. The role of policymakers is to make these things accessible. If you look at it, the journey of solar power happened when the government started giving tax benefits to companies that were producing solar cells and ensuring that people who deploy solar cells are actually able to have certain benefits, therefore encouraging behavior change in users. So I see role of governments in being able to deploy these innovation, science, technology available to farmers. How can we do that? By, like, in the case of India, the soil testing doesn't take a lot of money. A farmer can afford it. But consistently, I heard that farmers do not get their soils tested because it's exorbitantly expensive. If the government wishes for it, they can actually set up laboratories and make it accessible. Information is power. The information is rightly exorbitantly inaccessible. Make it accessible as a policymaker. The second thing that they can do is, what does this information mean? When it comes to, like, every country has 3 or 4 major crops. You can just start from there. What does it require for that crop to do? What are the nutrient requirements? Have a soil health card saying that what you're growing, this is your health report, like a doctor. These are the deficiencies, these are the things that needs to intervene. The intervention can be sustainable. It can be through chemical or non-chemical, but to begin with, access to information is important. Information and what to make of it, analysis of information has to be made available. This is something the governments can do. And third is, if we are really keen that farmers maintain their land sustainably, and so that crop production can happen for decades and centuries to come, we need to inform and educate them and make the knowledge of regenerative practices also accessible. In many ways, government's role is setting up norms, making technology and science accessible, information accessible, and removing bottlenecks for farmers to adopt these things. These are IC policymakers' role.
Right. What a program. Johnny, you want to react?
I won't be long. I would like to comment one of your points. You said that information is power. I fully agree, but I would suggest to say data is power. Yes, data is power. I don't see any policymaker helping, encouraging any policies without data. We need to tell them, if you do that, you will increase fertility by 10%, or you will increase livelihood by data. That's my comment.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Reading the comments in my points. Either you are a policymaker or you don't understand my point. If I go now traffic CGIAR, tomorrow morning I wake up in my car, what's the tool that you are using so I can watch my soil and apply your tools? Give me lists of tools that I can examine in my soil. Is it healthy or not healthy? Can you elaborate on that, please?
We are really in the path of the subject. How can we solve the problem of the farmers? So please.
No, I have not the answer, but the answer was in the presentation of the colleague who was online, who made this analysis on all the tools that exist and can provide some farmer, because they exist plenties, hundreds of tools accessible now on internet.
Yeah, but the thing is that those tools are, I would say, they are made for answering question, and what you are talking about is measurement, direct measurement. Multiple choice. Yes, there are some tools that are available.
So there are kits, soil testing kits available. Yeah, you can use this on-farm qualitative soil testing kits. Maybe if you could leave us something, I'll send you a list of soil testing kits available across the world. So it's just from anywhere.
We'll give you the link of all.
Definitely.
Yes, you will let us your contact and we will.
Yes, on my side, we are also implementing a toolbox addressing soil health, and the name is Bioform Tool, and we are implementing this tool after a huge research project for many years, but now this tool is in hands of farmers, and we are implementing in Madagascar, Benin, many countries. It's mandatory help farmers to use the tool for themselves, no longer on scientists' hands, on farmer hands. So it will be safer. It will be safer in the hands of the farmer. Okay, I agree with you. Right. I think before going to the end of this, you did not answer completely my question about policymaker, but did you have some element of answer to the question?
No, very, very short. I do think empowerment of farmers, women, youth farmer are the most important thing, and investing in training, saying that public policy should continue to invest in training at all scale.
Thank you.
The farmer.
So, you will be able to continue the discussion after the side event. I would like to conclude it in a few words. So, I just present you this slide because it's some slide that I love, just to explain what's going on in the soil and why soil health is so important. So whenever you start farming the land, you start depleting the quantity of carbon. And if you don't care, this will accelerate erosion and your soil will disappear. The idea is just adopting the right practices and just coming up back in the green area. We can always think about going in the yellow one, but if we can at least be in the green part, that will be very nice. So the other things I wanted to stress is that we are here in the UNCCD COP, means combating desertification. But if we are talking about healthy soils, then those soils are rich in carbon, they will help fighting climate change. They will store a lot of biodiversity below and above the ground. So they will also help retaining water and being less sensitive to erosion. So we will help also desertification fighting. And finally, it will be more fertile soil. It will address this question of food security. So really, I insist on the fact that here we are talking about land. I would like UNCCD to talk more about soil, which is really the starting point of all, and it will address the question of all the Rio Convention plus the food security problem that FAO is starting to is also addressing. So this is very, very important. And on the point of view of the farmers, but not only with the scientists and the others, we know that we can increase the quantity of carbon in the soil to improve soil health. We know a lot of practices that can work. This morning we have an example of a bio industry in Saudi Arabia out of poultry manure, and we are using this biochar to improve the quantity of carbon in the soil, not organic carbon, but this inorganic carbon can help also to get some nutrients more and water and so on. So finally, I wanted just to insist on the fact that we need to go for agroecological. I know that in situations like the one we have in arid region like here, this is not so easy. The journey is long and the journey is difficult, but we need to go in that direction. Go away from this conventional agriculture that show us this limitation and also all the bad effects. Just moving towards a variety of agriculture that can exist and coexist, because the solution is not unique, the solution is multiple, and we need to address this. Trust farmers more than we are used to do, because most of the time we consider farmers as the last people between the world and us, but in fact we need to consider them as the people that will be able to really work on that. I wanted to finish on that, but before finishing completely this side event, I would like each of the panelists to give a thought for just to bring this aware concerning this subject of relation with farmers, how we can help them, and how those tools can help them, but not only tools. So 1 minute each, just give a flash search to bring back home with us. Scientist first, she said.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank you, Paul, and all of us for joining this event. And I think we will have some discussion during this today about agroecology and how to change, but it's a transition needed, and we are all together into this fight. Thank you. Okay, so the transition, the importance of the transition will be all stakeholder transition. Thank you, Paul, and thank you for my colleague in the panel. That was very fruitful and very inspiring. So, my key message: it's not so far so easy to integrate sort of tool in order to provide decision maker of data, integrating socio-ecological and biophysical issues. This is crucial to achieve this goal, to be able to, I would say, design a very useful and very practical tool into discussion. So many about teaching the fact that data are needed in order to provide policymaker some that's my key message. Thank you. What key message?
So, one thought I would like to leave in this. What gets done? That's the case. That it's who we are. Therefore, it's really necessary that we make all the measurements matter to the group that is farmer, and also measure things for our own sake to understand what is the larger tapestry that we are building. While we are making changes, or while our farmers, we suggest them, facilitate them in adopting all the changes. So, short measurement, but what for who is now has to be decided by that group, and we make it easy for that group to be able to do it. That's a promise. Thank you.
Thank you for all of you. So thank you to all our panelists. Thank you. We can applaud. And I would like to thank the CGIAR for welcoming us on this beautiful pavilion. And not that we will have some other events. So thank you for those and so we will get there further to report and we will keep everyone